Hey guys, what's up? Reese here. I've got a new video series I'm going to start today. What I'm calling this is the best rock you've never heard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at albums, rock music albums that most people probably haven't heard of, or in some cases, maybe an album that was popular back in 1985, but the band has since become less popular. And so if you're newer into rock like me, there's a good chance you haven't heard of them. And what I'm just gonna do is I'll take the album. I'll talk briefly about the members, if there's anything cool or important there. I'll just give you a brief overview of the album, what it sounds like, and where you can find the album, because some of these are hard to find. And just the point is so that you can kind of like start to broaden what you listen to, because for me, I've been into rock for close to 10 years now, probably at least 10 years now. And for a while there, I was, I listened to the big bands, the hits, that everyone knows are the popular radio bands. But I like collecting music, and so right now I have like 4,000 some songs in my iTunes library, and it's basically all rock. And you reach a point where there's no more popular music, to get, and so you start branching out, and you find all these cool bands that sound really great. No one's ever heard of them. So what we're starting off with today is one of my favorite albums of all time. This is called Let It Scream by The Scream. And this was released in 1991. It was the only album released by the band. They did record a second album with a new singer that I've heard was kind of I believe it was described, I've seen it described as a musical departure for the band. Yeah, I've heard it wasn't anything good. But this album is fantastic. And this band is made up of the guitarist and bassist from an 80s rock band called Racer X. And I don't know very much about them. I've heard a few of their songs. They're all right. Nothing really wowed me about it. And then they've got an unknown drummer. And then their singer slash rhythm guitarist is again a guy named John Corabi. And if you've heard of John Corabi, it's probably because he fronted Motley Crue for their one album without Vince Neil, which was 1994's Motley Crue. And to be perfectly honest, I'm a huge Motley Crue fan, and I think that's one of the best Motley Crue albums out there. But a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't Vince Neil, it wasn't the original Motley Crue. It was a lot heavier than Motley Crue, and so it sounded different. But anyway, getting back to The Scream, I first got interested in this band. There's an 80s rock band that I like called Cinderella, and they're another band that you may or may not have heard of. And I went to see them, and one of the opening acts was John Corabi, and he was doing an acoustic set. All he had was a stool, himself, an acoustic guitar, and a microphone. And he just sat up there, and he played a couple Motley Crue songs. He played Hooligan's Holiday, and he played Home Sweet Home, and he did just a couple random songs, and I'd never heard of it. I'd heard his name, but I'd never really heard any of his music outside of Motley Crue. And so he just played a bunch of songs that I didn't know, and so I was like, oh, this is cool. But the one song that stood out to me, the lyrics were something about the man in the moon. And I remembered that after the concert, so I went home, did some Googling. He did a song called Man in the Moon with this band, The Scream, and so I looked him up. And it took me about a year and a half to actually get this CD. Because when I first found out about it, I checked Amazon. And I checked iTunes first, of course, but it wasn't on iTunes, so I checked Amazon next. And they had the CD for the cheapest price I could find for a used copy was $119. And I was like, no. But so I just kept checking back every now and then, and finally I found it for about a month and a half ago for $17. I was like, sweet. And so I got it because everything I've heard of John Corabi I really liked, and I loved him when he was a solo artist, or when I saw him with Cinderella. That acoustic thing was really cool. And this album is amazing. It's got 12 songs, and it's fairly straightforward rock. It's hard rock, but there's a lot of blues influence, and there's one or two songs that have kind of like a funky bass groove. And so what's cool about that is they took, a fairly straightforward hard rock approach, but just every song they added, a little bit of twist, or they added a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and it made it a very diverse album, but they kept it reined in enough that it all sounded good. You know, you hear some albums, they're just described as, you know, experimental, and it's just like they try all these different things, and some of them sound really good, and some of them are just horrific to listen to. But this album, the whole thing is really good. I'll talk really briefly about some of the key tracks, and then that'll be it for this review. But the first song is a song called Outlaw, and that is one of the best just rock songs I've ever heard. It's great to listen to. It's fun. It's not too serious. It's got just good guitar playing, good drumming, good bass playing. We'll go with bass playing. I think that's more proper. It's a hard rock song. It's got a little bit of blues to it. But then the best song on this album is that song I was talking about earlier, Man in the Moon. And that song, it starts out acoustic, which I like when a band can bring some of their acoustic when they're also a hard rock band. I think that's really cool. But so it starts out acoustic, and about the first chorus it switches, you know, the electric guitars come in, and it sticks with that for the rest of the song with some acoustic guitar playing throughout. And the solo is very much a blues rock solo. It's got a lot of slide guitar, which I love. It sounds really good. And then the next song on the album is a song called Father, Mother, Son, which is a fantastic ballad. If anyone had ever actually heard of this album when it came out in 1991, I guarantee that song would have been the biggest hit from this album, even though I think Man in the Moon is a little better song, just because, you know, ballads are fairly popular. That's a great song. And it's not, you know, like your typical ballad, oh, my girlfriend left me, you know, like a typical hard rock ballad. Not that it would sound anything like that. But it's just kind of it's about a son who passed away, and it's kind of he sings a couple verses to his father, sings a couple verses to his mother, and then his parents also sing, you know, a couple verses like from their perspective. That's a great song. And then finishing out the album, there's just the rest of the songs are pretty much rock. And now it's a great album. And now if you're interested at all in seeing this, hearing this, see what it sounds like, it's not on iTunes, like I said, and you can find it on Amazon, but it's not super cheap. So what I would recommend doing is go to YouTube and look up Man in the Moon. Is definitely on YouTube. I've seen they had a music video for it, and same with Father, Mother, Son. There was a music video, and from there on out, I'll post the track listing on the description, because most of the songs you can find, but not all of them. But just kind of sample it, see what you think. Again, I find it to be one of the best complete rock albums that I've heard, because there are a lot of bands that I love, but that, you know, every album there's just one or two songs you just listen to and you're kind of like, ew. This album is a great album from song 1 to song 12 and everything in between. And if you're into rock and roll, especially if you like, you know, a little bit of blues slide guitar and a lot of hard rock and a little bit of ballads and acoustic guitars mixed in, look up this album. It is fantastic. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with more videos soon of more albums and more stuff for you to check out. Thanks for watching. Our new series here that I'll try to update every couple weeks, as long as it